The past few patches have seen massive buffs and nerfs to both champions and items, which in turn has caused numerous new builds to pop up. We've been keeping a close eye on how pros have been adapting to these changes and are super excited to share with you guys 10 of the best new Korean builds for 11.3. If there are any new builds you've been playing recently that you think is really underrated, then be sure to let us know in the comments below. And if you haven't already, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, as this channel is the best place to be for your timely and accurate meta content. So, with all that being said, let's start off by breaking down some new top lane builds. Things are finally looking up for Gangplank with a couple indirect buffs the past two patches. Crit Plank is back, as the new build going around on him has been an Essence Reaver Rush into a Shield Bow second and Infinity Edge third. Most notably, Khan and Naguri have both been using the build in solo queue. Essence Reaver was buffed in 11.2, and then here in 11.3, Immortal Shield Bow has received buffs as well. The mana back from ER, now scaling with your AD, makes it so much nicer to pick up and gives you way more mana sustain than before. The main upside to the build is that it allows you to scale like an absolute beast. Once you hit the 3-item spike, your teamfight power skyrockets, and a couple good barrels can single-handedly win you games. You do lose a little bit of strength early on compared to the Triforce build, so both have their pros and cons. All in all, the build gets even stronger for 11.3, and after struggling to find any place in the meta over the past few months, this new build will finally put GP in a solid spot for solo queue. Sylas has benefited greatly from some direct buffs this patch, and there's a new build going around on him for top lane. Max ability haste Sylas has slowly started becoming more and more popular over the past few patches. The full build is Liandry's Rush into Zhonya's and then Cosmic Drive. You also grab Lucidity Boots instead of Mercs or Tabbies to cap your haste even further. Khan has been one of the pros abusing the build in solo queue and has seen some really great success. At your 3-item spike, you will have a total of 90 ability haste, which is the equivalent to 47% cooldown reduction. Haste is just an amazing stat on Sylas because it makes his sustain and consistent dueling power so disgusting. Once you have W maxed out and this full build completed, the spell will be on a 3.7 second cooldown. That just goes to show how bonkers the sustained fight power of this build can really be. With so many other bruiser picks nerfed due to item changes this patch, watch out for Sylas top lane, as he could start seeing a big resurgence. Yosik, the same jungler who pulled out the Chemtank Udyr in pro play, has also started spamming a similar build on his Mundo in solo queue. The full build can really vary depending on the game. He's been rushing Chemtank, but after that, Spirit Visage, Thornmail, Randuin's, and Deadman's have all been second or third pickups depending on the game. Against heavy AP, SV is the best second option. Versus heavy AD, either Thornmail or Randuin's works great depending on if you need the healing reduction or not. Your build should always adapt based on the game, and that's exactly what Yosik has been doing on his Mundo. Chemtank is the only item you will purchase in every single game, and it's just so great on Mundo since it allows him access onto his targets much easier. Going where he pleases is made way more of a reality with the move speed and slow from Chemtank active, as it provides him with amazing sticking power and helps to shore up Mundo's main weaknesses. If you're unaware, Mundo was also just buffed back in 11.2, and so was Chemtank. As a result, investing in some Mundo jungle for 11.3 has suddenly become a really great strategy. Another champion reaping benefits from the Shield Bow buffs this patch is Viego. Blade of the Ruined King into Shield Bow has been a very underrated build on Viego so far, and with the buffs to Shield Bow for 11.3, it only gets stronger. The build provides him with so much sustain and 1v1 power. You have lifesteal from both Bork and Shield Bow along with the passive shield, and then add on the healing coming from his kit, which just makes it really insane. By opting for the Bork into Kraken build, you leave yourself a lot more vulnerable, and even though you'll deal more damage, that doesn't matter if you're dead before you can get it off. The Kraken setup is definitely a little more high risk, high reward. On the flip side, Shield Bow still gives you a good amount of damage, but is more reliable due to the versatility and stats it provides. Especially in games where the enemy comp has a lot of burst damage, we would highly recommend you try out the Shield Bow setup for 11.3. We've gone into depth in a separate video on a bunch of other really great Viego builds, so if you want to check that one out, we'll leave an annotation in the top right hand corner of the screen. After the Shurelya's changes in 11.2, it started to make its way into other champions build paths besides supports. Prior to 11.2, Shurelya's did not provide any ability power, but after the changes, you're now getting 40 AP, which makes it way more valuable on a lot of champs. Fiddlesticks and Gragas jungle, along with Galio mid, are three non-support champions performing really well with this item. Galio is really the one taking over with it, as Scout and Xiet are two notables really liking Shurelya's on the pick. Spirit is the pro jungler playing Shurelya's Rush on his Gragas, and then, although he's not a Korean pro, Inspired, the jungler for Rogue, has been playing it on Fiddle. So what makes Shurelya's such a great rush for these champs? Well, there's a few good reasons. Number one is that it's a super cheap item at only 2,500 gold, so you're able to purchase it really early on. You're getting haste, AP, and health from the item, which are stats all three of these champs really like. The biggest factor as to why the item can be so valuable is found in its active. 60% move speed for 4 seconds is what the active gives, and this also applies to your allies nearby. It just makes finding picks and reaching your target so much more reliable. Fiddlesticks, Gragas, and Galio all want to hard engage when they find opportunities, and Shurelya's enables that greatly. Purchasing such a cheap item also allows all three to reach their Zhonya's much quicker. Once Zhonya's have been completed, these champions' teamfight power increase by a substantial amount. Overall, you'll be losing out on a bit of damage by going Shurelya's over Rocket Belt, but you're getting more utility and a much cheaper first buy. The stats even back this up as well. Right now, Shurelya's wins about 2% more than Rocket Belt in solo queue. Faker's been up to his usual tricks and has started to mold a new meta for Sett mid. The build is fairly standard, with a Stridebreaker Rush into a Deadman second and Sterak's third. The runes, on the other hand, are where it gets spicy. Hail of Blades has been his keystone of choice. Even Duin B has followed suit and been using it himself now. So what makes Hail of Blades Sett so great? It's the crazy burst potential and synergy the rune has with Sett's Q and passive. When Sett pulls in his opponent with E, he activates Q to follow up with such a quick burst of damage and can use this combo to easily chunk out his opponent early on. This makes Sett especially strong into other melee champions like Yone and Yasuo. If they try and walk up for CS and ever get into Sett's E range, they're guaranteed to lose half their HP bar, which allows Sett to take over the lane. The runes to follow Hail of Blades should be Taste of Blood with Eyeball Collector and Ravenous Hunter. In the secondary tree, take Resolve and grab Bone Plating with Overgrowth. Be sure to max your Q out first, as your W damage isn't what makes this version of Sett so strong. Now, a similar build to what we showed you guys for Sylas is working great for Fizz mid. This one is also being played by Faker, and it's a Liandry's Rush into Cosmic Drive second and Zhonya's third. You'll also be grabbing Lucidity Boots too, so the exact same items that Khan was running for his Sylas top, just in a different order. To really max out CDR, Faker has even taken the ability haste rune, which tops you off with 98 haste on your 3-item spike. That's equivalent to 50% CDR, meaning your Q drops to a 3-second CD, E will be on a 5-second cooldown, and your ult at just 35. This allows him to constantly be fishing for picks and makes Fizz even more slippery than ever before. A build popping up all over the place, and not just in Korea, has been Kraken into Rageblade and then Fire Cannon on Senna. Rekkles has been playing it a ton along with other Korean pros like Ruler, Kramer, and Teddy. Senna's Q received a bug fix in 11.2 so that you now get a stack of the Kraken Slayer passive when using the ability. This makes the item so much stronger for her since you can now auto Q auto for a quick true damage proc. Rageblade, on the other hand, becomes stronger due to Senna's attack speed ratio seeing a buff from 0.2 up to 0.3. This also makes Kraken better too, since you'll be receiving a good amount of attack speed from it as well. Since Senna's passive provides her with free crit, you're getting even more benefit out of the Rageblade passive, converting 1% of each crit into 2 physical damage on hit. Senna's Q can also apply Rageblade's phantom hit bonus damage, making it really quick to charge and proc. On Fire Cannon completion, you are getting some nice poke and survivability. The one downside to this build is that it leaves you very squishy, with no sort of defenses like the shield you'd get from Eclipse. The upside is just too good to pass up on though, as the build is by far the highest DPS setup for Senna, so if you want a super fun hard carry build, then definitely try it out. Another champion really enjoying the Essence Reaver buffs from last patch has been Miss Fortune. Gumayusi, the ADC for T1, has been playing a Gale Force into Essence Reaver build. Currently, Essence Reaver holds around a 2% better win rate than the Collector does on MF as a second purchase in solo queue. The build provides you with so much burst potential, and the mana back is amazing for MF since she tends to run into mana issues. A nice benefit from the setup as well is that ER provides you with 20 ability haste compared to 0 from the Collector. This puts your ult on a shorter cooldown, giving you more consistent teamfight power. To really maximize your DPS, lots of pros including Gumayusi have swapped keystones around, moving away from Comet and towards Press the Attack. This just makes it so that an auto Q auto with Gale Force and ER proc thrown in do crazy amount of upfront damage. MF is a great answer to Kai'Sa right now in the current meta, so if you're an ADC main, we would highly recommend you abuse this build for 11.3. The support role has stayed relatively quiet the past few patches in terms of new builds. However, pros have really started liking a Chem Tank rush on pretty much anyone who wants to hard engage. Leona, Alistar, Galio, Set, and Rel are the 5 most common picks you see with this build. Pros like Beryl and Lehens have been huge advocates of this new setup. Being able to press a button and immediately reach your target is a really nice luxury, and that's exactly what Chem Tank provides. Punishing positional errors is just so much easier with Chem Tank, and with the cost reduction of the item back in 11.2, it makes it way more accessible for supports to purchase. There's very little counterplay to a Galio activating Chem Tank and charging in at you as an immobile ADC. You pretty much just have to pray he forgets how to press his W key, else you'll be enjoying a gray screen. The stats are everything you'd want for a tank support item as well, with some magic resist, armor, health, and ability haste. All in all, it's a super well-rounded rush item, and you should be looking to try it out on all those picks we mentioned. Unfortunately, those are all the builds we have for you today, guys. You can bet that for next patch, we'll have many more lined up, so be sure to subscribe to make sure you don't miss out. We appreciate everyone watching, and until next time, have a great day.